Hello and welcome to Life with Jane. Today you're joining me in the garden and I'm doing a voiceover because normally when you join me in the garden there's so many other noises and things going on that my voice sounds really low. So I've decided to just do a voiceover. So I'm in the garden picking my raspberries. One of the nice things at this time of year is that you can pick your own fruit. And I think there's nothing nicer than being able to go out in the morning. And even though we've had a heat wave at the moment, the heat wave has been absolutely gorgeous if you love the sun. But we've had temperatures in the early 30s for the last 4 or 5 days. It's now a little bit better because the weather has now gone back to sort of 26 degrees, so it's really nice. Still lovely and warm. And I have to water with a watering can virtually every evening to be able to pick the raspberries. As you can see, my camera action is not the greatest because I had to move it because you couldn't see me or where I was picking the raspberries. But these raspberries have actually I planted them probably 25 years ago. And as soon as I get 2 crops, so I get a crop now and I get a crop later on, late August, early September, which is lovely. And it means that I can pick literally a bowlful every day. And then I tend to have it on my breakfast cereal, or I will have it sort of in the evening with a little bit of ice cream sometimes as a bit of a treat. But I try and eat quite a lot of them fresh. I can do raspberry muffins and things. If I have way too many, and I think I'm not going to be able to eat enough, not this year because it's been very dry, then what I tend to do is I'll put them into the freezer, and then I have them ready if I want to do, as I say, some muffins or a crumble. And I do that with my apples. So I have apple and raspberry crumble, which is rather nice. But there's nothing nicer to have your own raspberries. And as I say, you can see that I pick and pick and pick until there's absolutely no raspberries left at all. Go checking through to see, and there's always the odd little branch where there's a few tucked away. So you have to really be quite careful and sort of peer around through to make sure that you've got all of the raspberries that you need. And then, as I say, they are, I'm just going to show you the beautiful raspberries. And they are literally, as I say, a small bowlful every single day, and that's perfect. And it's quite funny because my dog absolutely adores the raspberries. So quite often as a little treat, I will take one of the little raspberries and I will give it to her. She's looking absolutely beautiful at the moment because she's just literally come back from the groomers. So she's not quite as hot as she was. And she'll always sit, wag her little tail and sit and go, oh, am I going to get a raspberry? And then she'll sit and gently eat it. She's such a lovely little dog. I do adore her. She's a real little credit. She's nearly 10 years old now, so she's getting on a bit, but she's gorgeous. So now we're going to have a little trip into the greenhouse because if you remember, my tomatoes and my courgettes were absolutely munched to bits. Now that they've got big enough, the snails don't stand a chance. And you can see I'm trying to sort of peer in with the camera so you can see that they're now all in flower. And right down at the bottom, I've got some little tiny weeny courgettes coming. So I think I'm going to have a reasonable crop, which is great. And then the tomatoes, as you can see, are growing up. I've got some flowers on the first truss, which I didn't quite show you, but they're down at the bottom. I will be pinching out soon. I need to get some stakes to make it a bit higher. And then I thought, right, I must remember to pick up my raspberries on the way out. But yes, I need some stakes for the tomatoes because they will get quite tall. So we're going to have a little walk down the garden as I go back down to the house. The ground is so dry at the moment. It is absolutely terrible. I'm having to water with watering cans every night. I do love the sun, but it does play its toll on the garden and it's not quite as green. Beautiful little poppy, quite a pretty little pink sort of double one that's just come up there, all self-seeded by the birds. Those are my lovely daisies, which are pretty. And then walking down, my dog sort of wandering around the garden. This is my sumac that I had in the front garden, but because the sun was so intense, I've had to move it into the back garden. And my willow is now, nearly a foot above the 6-foot fence, so that's doing well. The fern works really well by the water. And then my lovely hydrangea. The hydrangea is looking absolutely beautiful now, because it's got to the stage now where it's gone from the little buds to coming into these beautiful pink flowers. And you can see my dog rolling. She loves rolling, almost like birds having a dust bath. She'll have a little roll in the ground because it's so dry. The lavender's just about to really bloom, and it'll be covered with bees. I'll show you that at a later date when it's out. And you can see all of my herbs have gone really well. So we're coming just back to have a last little look at the really pretty hydrangeas. They come up every year and I'm so pleased with them. So we're now going to be doing a little bit of gardening. Now, I bought myself some rhubarb. Now, this rhubarb is called Canada Red, and it is supposed to be exceptionally sweet. So it says, I'm going to read the thing on the back, it says, one of the sweetest varieties of red rhubarb. It often produces shorter, more tender, more slender stalks than other varieties, but is tender and very sweet, with a cherry red colour all the way through. The stalks are high in sugar and juicy with no need to peel. Very easy to grow in trouble-free soil. And it says for planting, prepare the area carefully, dry digging 2 spades depths as their roots go quite deep. So you can see me digging away with the spade, so I've got 2 spades deep. And then I'm just pulling out, some of these are the grape hyacinths that have now sort of, completely died. Little bits of grasses and things coming in here, and those little yellow flowers. I can't remember what they're called, but they're so pretty, and they sort of trail everywhere. A little bit windy, as you can see, because the sumac's sort of blowing its way through. But it says planting. Plant as soon as possible after purchase, provided weather conditions are suitable. Now, I actually put it into a pot because it was so dry, because I got it reduced at the garden centre. So it was so dry that I thought, so I've soaked it overnight in a bucket of water, and then I planted it with the compost I was going to put it into the hole with. And that ensures that it hopefully will stand the best, and I will then just water it for a while. So plant in a hole large enough to avoid disturbing the crown root ball and allow space all round for infill material. Ensure the top of the crown is at or just below the main soil level. Gently firm the surrounding soil around it. Okay, so that's literally what I did. I went and got the pot for it to go into, and then you'll see it's absolutely full of compost. Now, plant care for this rhubarb. Remove flower spikes as they appear. Now, as I say, this is quite a scraggy looking one, but that's because it was a reduced one, because it's not the right time of year really for rhubarb. But again, it's the sort of thing that I won't eat from it this year, because you don't want to eat from it from a new plant that goes in, but I will from next year. And it says water regularly, particularly if growing in container or during dry periods. Well, we are in dry periods. And then you can feed it with fertiliser in the spring, followed by a liquid feed fortnightly. Apply a high potash feed in February. Okay, so that's the rhubarb. As you can see, it's got quite a big, not a huge root ball with it, because as I say, it's only a little one. And it was quite sort of scraggy, but I'm trying to take the damp compost that I just put it in overnight, so I can then get it out and fill it in on the hole, so that then it's got something to actually do some good, because my garden is so dry that, you know, whenever I plant something, I need to put a good dollop of compost and stuff in there. So I'm emptying the pot out. Now I always put at the bottom of any pots I have a whole pile of little stones and things so that you get good drainage. So I'm poking away and getting all of those out first of all, because then that means that we've got good drainage for the next thing that I plant in that pot. And I actually took from where this plant is, where I'm planting the rhubarb, I had a little azalea which really wasn't doing very well there. So I've put the azalea into this pot. So that's why I carried on putting the stones and things in. So I'm just sort of sweeping around as much of the compost as I can round quite carefully. And obviously my hands are very wet because the compost had been soaked overnight to make sure that it was nice and damp, so I can then put the rest of the soil in over the top. I start off with a spade, but then I go in with the fork, because it's quite easier sometimes to use a spade to get some of the heavy stuff, and then use a fork a little bit like a rake to just take up the bigger parts, and then that can go round the side. Now these little yellow plants, they trail everywhere, so I don't worry too much that I've sort of, you know, scraped quite a few of them. But as I say, I'm making sure I turn my fork the right way round. Never have your fork with the prongs going upwards, because if you stand on it, you'll knock yourself out, because it'll act like a little seesaw and whack you in the head. Tell me how I know, because I did that when I was younger and I started gardening, probably when I bought my first house, and I'd haphazardly just left the fork with the prongs facing the other way from what it is now, and then it was an accident. Now you can see I'm making sure that I'm firming it in quite well. As always, I'm wearing the most appropriate wear in the garden, but you know, I tend to have one pair of sandals, and I'm not going to put wellies and things to go into the garden at the moment, or boots and things, so I'm quite happy to do that. And again, I just fork it all over again and make sure that it's well firmed in. You want it well firmed in, because you want the roots to be able to spread out nicely. And as I say, hopefully it will do quite well. It's relatively sheltered because it's got the fence behind it, and I think it'll do all right. I've always had rhubarb, and I've lost a couple of rhubarb corms over the past 5 years or so. I used to have some rhubarb which was my great grandfather's, and it was called champagne rhubarb, and it had been handed down through the family, and I had a great piece, but for some reason it just died. It maybe the corn was old enough, maybe it had just got too old, but you know, I did used to split it, and I did used to do all of those things, and I had some down the allotment at one time, but as I say, it just didn't work. So anyway, as always, please stay safe and well, please be kind, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.